This is Hannibal from the HannibalTV.com with a daily wrestling news update. According to PW Insider, the state of Pennsylvania has filed a motion in Carbon County Court to revoke the February 2000 parole of WWE Hall of Famer Sunny, aka Tammy Sytch. This was filed after Sunny's arrest on Monday. She's currently still incarcerated in, I'm going to say it wrong again because I'm not from New Jersey, sorry, but the Monmouth County Correctional Institution. I know I'm going to get heat from all the Jersey people for that. And of course, she was arrested for operating a motor vehicle with a license suspension, eluding a police officer, and a contempt violation of a domestic violence restraining order. So she could be back in jail. She spent almost a year in jail, was paroled. She seemed to be doing well, making lots of money online. But for some reason, she's gotten herself back into trouble. I did talk to Raven today in the shoot interview I did with him about Sunny, and I'm going to post that clip tonight. The full career shoot interview I did with Raven is going to be at patreon.com/thehannibaltv by sometime tomorrow morning. It was a great shoot interview. He's a really nice guy. Victor Murphy tipped me $6.66. Asked which flavor of protein I like, vanilla. And I am sponsored right now by Redcon 1, which the link is in the description of this or at thehannibaltv.com. And I have a promo code that you could also see in the description to get 20% off any Redcon 1 supplements for anyone that wants to help support me and get supplements at the same time. They also sponsor Braun Strowman. Scott Cherry tipped me $4.99, and he says leave Sunny in jail. He's from Philadelphia. So thank you, Scott and Victor, for your tips. Appreciate it. I did do a report last night, I guess, night for me, but maybe earlier today for some people, about Tony Khan comparing himself to Eric Bischoff as if AEW is on the same level as WCW, yet they're hardly getting any viewers these days compared to WCW. It was extremely popular. It was a hit television show. But some people said, oh, Hannibal, you just don't like Tony Khan because AEW won't hire you and you're sour and bitter at AEW. Well, I actually added up the last 4 weeks of AEW Dynamite's viewership. Okay, anyone can look this up. I'm being honest here. The last 4 weeks, AEW Dynamite on TNT had a total of 2,868,000 viewers. Okay? The Hannibal TV had 4 million viewers plus over the last month on this channel. So actually, I think I'd rather work for myself, take no bumps. If anyone watches me on here, I think they know the type of person I am. I would not fit in with that company at all. So I'm just being honest here. I'm doing just fine on my own, and I like what I'm doing now. Just talked to Raven, who is one of my favorites in WCW. Speaking of WCW, so I'm enjoying myself working for YouTube, working for Google. And I appreciate all the tips from people like John Falsetta here, tipping me $5. And he says, Sunny deserves to rot in hell for what she did to Candido. He also says Tony Khan is a money mark dork. I agree. The one thing I did point out I did listen to Tony Khan on Steve Austin's podcast last year before AEW Dynamite started. And I didn't notice it as bad as I did last night. He was almost giddy talking to Eric Bischoff. And like the nerdiness and dorkiness, if that's even a word, was just too much for me to handle. And I ended up only lasting a couple minutes into it because it was unbearable to listen to. I was hoping that we might get some good inside information from that, but no. Let's compare AEW to WCW as if they're on equal levels. But I'm not going to go off on that. Obviously, I think AEW is on right now. I forget if it's on at 8 or 9, but obviously not many people that watch this channel are AEW fans. As far as NWA, I posted a clip from my interview with Raven, who lives in Atlanta. He used to be working for Billy Corgan's Revolution Pro Wrestling when Corgan had that outfit out of Chicago. He was like an assistant to Billy Corgan. And of course, he knows a lot of wrestlers in the Atlanta area. And he mentioned in my interview with him, we all know that NWA has been shut down since this David Lagana executive guy had all these allegations come out about him. But Raven seems to think that the NWA may be shutting down permanently, according to what he's gathered. To quote the Raven, he said that's what he gathers. So anything's possible. I mean, I actually checked just before I did this what the NWA's viewership on YouTube was over the past month, and they've had about 197,000 total YouTube viewers on their channel over the past month. So I really do wonder what revenue NWA has to pay for stuff other than Billy Corgan's money. Because literally 200,000 YouTube views equals to nothing. I don't even know if you could get a hamburger I'm being perfectly honest here, for 200,000 YouTube videos. It's literally change. 200,000 YouTube views rather. And what has all this on salary. He's got some other people on salary. They also had this Marty Scurll guy who I talked to a British girl yesterday and said she told me I could pronounce it Scroll, which someone else had told me it's Marty Squirrel, but he was working for them too. And he banged like a 16-year-old when he was 27-ish. So there's a lot of controversial characters in the NWA. We all know this Nick Aldis guy was good buddies with David Lagana. And here's another thing I'm going to point out. For everyone that likes to use the lockdown as an excuse why there's so little interest in NWA and why their viewership is so poor, don't forget, this channel was started for Great North Wrestling, my own company, okay? Some of the highest viewed videos on this channel are wrestling videos. So I'm also a wrestling channel, but I find other ways of keeping my momentum going and growing year to year. I just don't say, well, it's the lockdown. I can't run any events. I'm just going to do nothing. So really, it all depends what kind of mind you have and how creative you can be. And obviously, no one working for Billy Corgan is that creative. Joe Money tipped me $4.99 and says, good work. Cody Rhodes spoke to Talk Sport today about ratings. And he said, quote, if you ever catch me tweeting about the demos, please just delete my Twitter account, end quote. So that may have been in response to Chris Jericho saying a couple weeks in a row now, well, WWE won in viewership, but we won in the demos, and the demos are the only thing that counts. It's like, two companies are doing terrible, and like they're trying to brag about the little things, like Chris Jericho's getting his ass kicked in viewership, but he wants to like try and say, oh, it's okay because we're still winning in the demos. But the truth of the matter is the demo rating, although it was better than NXT's the last 2 weeks, it was still in the 0.2s, which is nothing. I actually heard on the Wrestling Observer radio today that Raw's viewership this week was similar to Impact's numbers when they were on Destination America, which tells you how low those ratings are. And the product sucks. Everyone, again, will use the pandemic as an excuse, but I have tried watching it, okay? It's not just the pandemic. Everything was going down before the pandemic. It's goofy angles. They're trying to build the whole pay-per-view about someone getting their eye ripped out. Like, seriously, this is the best thing you can come up with. They had someone sent me a link to a karaoke contest, Dave from Texas, a karaoke contest where the females are singing karaoke. And it's like, really? This is the best you can come up with? Luke W. tipped me $5 and says, we respect your respect for old school wrestling. Keep it up. I am still a wrestling fan. I really am. I'm just not a fan of what I'm seeing out there. But I'll watch. You know what? Dave Meltzer says AEW. He's very biased. He says AEW has the greatest tag team division of all time, except for All Japan Pro Wrestling in the 80s. I could watch the NWA tag team division matches from the 80s all day. That was better than AEW, not even comparable to AEW. The WWE tag team division, hell, the ECW tag teams, I'd rather watch than the AEW tag teams. Seriously, that's just me being honest. John Falsetta. Oh my God, I'm reading your comments again, but thanks again for the $5 tip. For some reason, it jumped up there. I'll get into some of your other comments. My computer's playing games with me. Carolina's Own says sad about Tammy Sytch. David Hughes says greetings from PA. Have I heard from Billy Jack Haynes yet? No. Raven told the story about Billy Jack Haynes, though, in his shoot interview. Under the Horror Review says, I love your show. Keep up the great work, buddy. Your interviews are the best. Thank you, good sir. Vic Lau says, I'd like to see Davey Boy Smith Jr. on the show. I don't know what he's doing right now. I know MLW's not running. At one point, he was going to go to All Japan. I don't know if the lockdown is still in effect there, preventing him from going to All Japan. It could possibly be, since COVID is so high in Florida right now and very low in Japan. Maybe that's what's stopping him from going over there. But he is in his peak years right now. It's kind of sad to see Davey Boy Smith Jr. not doing anything. He is the Hannibal TV heavyweight champion, but my hands are tied for Great North Wrestling events this year with this lockdown going on. Alan Kesselman says Tony Khan is a spoiled rich kid. I agree. And someone else commented recently, if Tony Khan didn't have his money, none of these guys would be hanging out with him. That's a fact. They like the payoffs. I mean, they like flying around in his private jets and so forth. But he's pretty much the definition of a money mark, running in there, stone cold stunning wrestlers. He's just the definition of a geek. But right now, whatever. It's his money. He can do whatever he wants. I don't care. I'm just commentating on it because it's my job to do these reports. Mike Della says Jerry Sagg's interview. I was going to do one with him once, but he was pretty rude. So since my interaction with meeting Jerry Staggs was a rude one, I don't think I ever want to interview him because, to be perfectly honest, him doing an interview with me would be a benefit to him at this point in his career. And I don't give people payoffs that are rude to me. Mike DeLow says Faces of Fear to the Hall of Fame. I don't know why the Faces of Fear, or at least Haku, is not in the WWE Hall of Fame. Barbarian could almost be in with Warlord as Powers of Pain, and Haku could be in as himself because he was tag teams with Andre and was King Haku, was also one of the Islanders. Haku, there's absolutely zero reason why he should not already be in the WWE Hall of Fame. And about Nasty Boys being in the Hall of Fame, I don't know. Brian Knobbs has said some racist stuff in the past, and with all the Black Lives Matter stuff being in the spotlight, I don't know if they would want to risk the potential backlash, because if you put him in the Hall of Fame, we all see people pull stuff up now. John Falsetta says the unwatchable garbage on TV, yay for storytelling. Someone else has said it, though. They're not telling good stories. That's the problem. They're not telling good stories, and they're not even letting us suspend our disbelief, because in every interview, they're reminding us about the storytelling and how much they love telling stories. But, you know, when you're sitting by a campfire and stuff and hearing ghost stories and things like that, like, you want to believe them, even if it's just a guy making it up. Like, if somebody tells me a ghost story and I'm at a campfire or whatever, I don't want him to tell me the next day that he just made that up. I'd actually be disappointed. And it just feels like not only are they telling us before the matches it's fake and they're friends, but then they're reminding us after. They love putting over how much they love working with each other, which it's just pathetic to me. I don't watch wrestling for sportsmanship. It's not a real sport. It's entertainment. It should be entertaining. Somebody says no stars in WWE right now. You're right. There really isn't any stars in WWE right now. That's one of the problems. So I'm going to get back to work on editing my Raven Shoot interview for the wonderful people that support me on patreon.com/thehannibal TV. Thank you for the tips, everyone that tipped me. Have a great night.